welcome to the summit. Who are you? From the head to the heart. And here is Cate Montana. Hi, Cate.
Hello, Susan.
And welcome to the summit. And I'm very excited. I have read your book, The E Word, Ego, Enlightenment, and Other Essentials. Let's see, yeah, there. And it's very funny, actually. It made me laugh a lot.
So, trying to figure out who you are is funny to begin with, so yeah.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, it's kind of a joke, right? But I love the way you write. You're also a journalist, right? You're used to writing. You write screenplays and you write other books, and you have a lot of history of media, communication, and it's just very simple, funny, and right in your face. So I love that. Thank you. And I met you at an event here up in the Northwest, and it was lovely. I love that too. So your personality is beautiful. And yeah, so I remember you, and that's why I want to interview you.
Wonderful. I remember our conversation.
Yeah. So how about you tell me about this universal joke, or what I mean, universal joke, but you're so good at joking and you're so funny, so I'll let you take over and tell me about it.
The universal joke. Oh my God. You know, the universal joke, well, for me, I mean, there's so many universal jokes around the ego and who we think we are and trying to find ourselves. You know, when you really stop to think about it, it's really kind of ludicrous that we, and this is 40 years of looking for myself. And so finally, when, after, I don't know, 40,000 hours of meditation, I mean, Susan, I went into the cave. When I discovered spirituality, I'd been on the success train thinking that it was about material goods and money in the bank and a great career and a great husband and a good dog. And when I hit the wall at 30 and discovered that it was none of that was going to make me happy, and that I was still left with this big fat question mark about who am I and what do I want and why am I here and what is all this? So I discovered spirituality. And then, of course, I discovered the word enlightenment and that I was supposed to be enlightened. And if I was enlightened, that was it. That was the answer. Enlightenment was the answer. All I had to know was who I am. And I'm God. Okay, so that's it. I'm God. Okay. Wow. Okay, that's a head trip. And, you know, that inflates the ego right there. And so, as I say, 40,000 years of meditation later, I quit television. I left my husband. I went literally and lived in a one-room cabin in the woods in the middle of nowhere for 3 years by myself. No indoor plumbing even, no electricity. And I just meditated my derriere off. And so that was the start of my spiritual quest. And that kicked in a whole lot of psychic awareness and cracked my kundalini. And I was having out of body experiences and all this cool stuff. And a lot of weird entities were showing up into my life. And I was like, oh my God, this universe is way more overpopulated. And I really don't want to know about any of that. So I shut the psychic door down. But fast forward 30 years of intense meditation and work. And when I finally woke up, it was in 2007, and I'd been meditating for years, and I'd been going to that place of the universal oneness in meditation with my eyes closed. And it was peace and beauty and aha, and I am, and everything's perfect. And then I would open my eyes. And then it was like, wow, here are the bills and here's what else I got to do today. And, you know, my partner and I are really not at a good place together and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I hated that, Susan. I was like, what the hell is good sitting there on my Zazen pillow, going into bliss for a couple of hours every morning, if it doesn't last a millisecond after I open my eyes? So I spent years with this conundrum, is like, unity for 2 hours at dawn, and then my messy life the rest of the day. And I was like, what? So I remember one morning after my meditation, when I opened my eyes, Cate didn't come back. There was just this and I write about it in the E Word, Cate didn't come back. And there was just this There was I am, I'm here. This is a unique expression of the divine. So it wasn't like this place of blah, I'm nothing. It was like total aliveness. But the neurological network that identifies Cate and says, well, you've got to have your bills paid by this, and you know, your stomach should look like that, and you know, your sexual response should be like this, and you should be this far down the road. All of that gone. And then after and it was, and that's who I am.
That's who you are.
That's who I was. That was the real me. All I can, yeah, I don't really even remember anything really about those 3 days, Susan, except that I was alive. I was there. I don't, you know, if somebody, I could have like wandered off. If somebody had shown up at my gate and said, let's go to Chile, I would have done it. I just would have, it was like so alive and so present and so unattached from all of the issues of the human personality. And then after 3 days, Cate Montana started to come back. The neurological network that is Cate started to refire. I started to think like Cate. And then I was horrified because I could feel this hemming in. And it was all happening up here in my brain. And I couldn't do anything about it. And I fought it. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm Cate, because I'm back being Cate, because I'm fighting being Cate, trying to be who I really am.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And it was that point. I mean, I spent weeks spending as much time in meditation as I could to get back to that 0 point place where I was everything. And, you know, and when people say I was everything, it's not like I understood what was going on the third planet from the sun in the Ceres system in Alpha Centauri. It's not like that. It's just this vast connectedness and peace and grace and certainty that all is well and everything is perfect. Yeah. And what was really interesting in those 3 days is, as I remember walking in the garden and I looked, and I'm going to say I looked upstream at my life, and I looked downstream, like, where am I going to go? And it was so clear without the Cate Montana filter that, I'm forever. I'm going to live forever. I'm eternal. Not this body, but who I really am. I am eternal. And it was like, I'm never going to die. I'm eternal. What a joke. But what was really interesting is when I turned around and I looked upstream and I realized I'd never been born.
Okay. Ooh, I get the chills.
Yeah. Eternity, you know, the divine God is I am that I am, and I am eternal. I always have been and always will be. And the human brain isn't wired to understand that at all. It cannot understand that at all.
Right.
Damn it.
Yeah. I want to understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I've finally realized that, and it's like I've been, one of the things that a deep assistance aid in my life right now is a book called A Course of Love. And it's the channeled teachings of Jesus that follow up A Course in Miracles. Brilliant. And one of the things that Jesus says in that book is, he said, you will experience unity, which is where I was. I was in the state of unity with the divine. That's who I am. You will experience it, but you will never understand it.
Yeah, right. It's beyond understanding. It's beyond.
It is.
Yeah.
So, you know, when we came online and we were talking, I was laughing because it was kind of a joke. This whole, no offense, it's kind of a joke, the whole "Who Am I" conference, and you know, and it's just like, because it's unspeakable. So, but if we didn't talk about it, you know, it's the oneness and the multiplicity. It's this paradox of I am that I am, eternal, and I'm this mildly neurotic human being that, you know, is on a journey that thinks it has to get something and acquire understanding. and stay safe and not feel so vulnerable because of COVID or because of, you know, financial certain circumstances. There's this dichotomy. And I think one of the things I've learned the most, frankly, is that to accept both. And I actually just kind of realized that's the only state of grace that I, as a human being, Cate, can rest in, is that, yes, I have these moments of great illumination in who I really am, and I rest in who I am, and everything is certain and sure. And then I come out of that, and it's Cate and the limited mind. And I think the more I can stop struggling and just accept that this is a dual system until we permanently step into that state of who we really are and that awareness that is unspeakable. And until we get to that place, which is inevitable because unity, God, source, divinity, love is who we really are. It's who we are. It's who I am. It's who you are. So it's inevitable that that is what you're going to arrive at, because you're already there. There's no journey.
Right. And
except there's a journey.
Yeah. It's like you seek until you seek no more, because there's nothing to seek, right? I know it's like there's a journey, but there's not. And yeah.
It's a journey, but it's not. I know. It's
yeah.
So now we know why the Buddha sits there and has this little smile on his face, is because it's very humorous.
Yeah, right. Yeah, laughing Buddha. Ha, ha, ha. It's funny. Yeah. Yeah. It is. But that's what it is. So like there's nothing wrong with it, because apparently it is just like that is a joke. Or you know, and at the same time the joke is beautiful too. Like all this life is beautiful, isn't it?
Yes.
Like going for a walk in the forest, and it's so beautiful. And being around beautiful people that are, you know, love, sharing love or whatever. It's just beautiful. Life is beautiful, but it's also the opposite. It can be it can feel like it's the opposite. It can seem like the opposite, right? So it's just like, it's just everything. Like you say, it's like, it's everything.
Yeah. You know, one of the funny things, and you said it seems like the opposite. You know, for a long, many years in the whole New Age thought community experience, there was this enormous pressure to think that this is an illusion, that this isn't real. And that always really confused me, on top of being deeply confused anyway. That was just one of the other things that confused me. And I was like, you know, how can this, you know, how can this not be real? And what I finally understood from the awakening that I went through is that this is real in its own way. All we have to do is go to E = mc squared and Albert Einstein and go, yeah, well, this is all really energy. Okay, well, that's fine. And that's scientific, and we can be esoteric. But if I hit myself in the head with this, it will hurt. And, you know, and my cat and my mom can die of cancer, and that hurts. And so I realized in that 3 days that it's not that this is an illusion. It's that my sense, my belief that I'm separate from all of this, that I'm separate from you, that I'm alone and isolated and vulnerable, that I'm my body, that's the illusion.
Yeah.
So it's our perception of this world that's the illusion. You know, I mean, I taught a course in miracles for a while, and, you know, one of the things that would just blow people's mind was this whole thing about, well, this isn't real. And it's just like somebody who's just spent 4 years nursing their dying mother with cancer and going through that agony, you know, and you look them in the eye and say, oh, well, but none of it's real. You know, I would just slap the person.
Yeah, yeah, it's true, because it is real in its own way, but it may not, as you say, it's the perception. It's like it's not real in the way we think it is. Think, here
Correct.
we go again, the head, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and I talk about this in the E word, is that when we come out of the womb and we're in our mommy's arms, the first unconscious impressions we get is that I'm separate. I mean, there's no word in the baby brain, infant brain going, oh, I'm separate from mommy. But it's just like, the breast is out there, the bottle's out there, daddy's beard is out there. And it's, one of we get, what is it? 20 million, 11 million bits of data, sensory data per second into our brains, flooding us with one message. You're separate. I'm alone over here. I'm separate from everything. And so that's what we're dealing with. So when I talk about seeing through the illusion of separation, I can casually say, oh, well, just see through the illusion of your perception. But your brain has been bombarded, 11 million bits of sensory data per second, your entire life, telling you, I'm alone, I'm separate, I'm vulnerable, I'm in this body, I can be hurt emotionally, psychically, physically. And so that perception is what we have to wash clean. And the only way to do that, I love that, you talk about this as the meeting of the head and the heart in this summit. And you can spend lifetimes in your brain trying to figure this stuff out. It's never going to happen. Forget it. The only access I've found is through the heart. Unless I want to spend 24/7 on my Zazen pillow in meditation, completely disconnected from everything, even though I was about to go into a brain twister, but I won't. But, but out of the world and disconnected, I'm in the world. I want to be in the world. Yeah, and so the only way I've found to navigate the world and to move past the illusion of separation is not to try to figure it out, but to drop into my heart and start to sense the reality of the connection between you and me, and feel from this place, this sweet space, this calm space, this unitive place of inclusion. And this is the only place I'm going to find it. Yeah. So the heart is the doorway. And the heart has its own language, and I'm not talking about the pump in the body, but it is the location in this energetic field that we apparently seem to sense the true heart of the universe, the heart of God, the heart of Christ, whatever you want to call it, who we really are. Yeah. And then, we have these beautiful moments, and then we can't even, and then we want to run out immediately and share what we've experienced, but then we're left with having to talk about it. And what we've just experienced is so beyond all the words. Yeah. And exactly. Yeah. It's like, you just can't express it somehow. It's also, that's how it is every day in our lives. Anyway, we are always that. We cannot not be that, right? It's just that we may not recognize it many times because we're so distracted by our thoughts and our, the E word. So it is like that. Yeah, we just always it, but we just don't recognize it many times. Yeah. But I guess it's okay too. Does it have to be one way or the other? Do we have to be awake, and can we just live a life not be awake? Or do we have to know who we are? Can we just live a whole life not knowing who we are? Like, what's the difference? Oh, absolutely. We've lived how many millions of lifetimes has humanity lived? And the collective consciousness and the reality we're facing now with COVID and Trumpism and, white supremacy and anger and hatred and fear and, the 1% haves versus the 99.5% haves nots. That's the world that being ignorant creates. That's the reality that's the reality ignorance has created. Yeah. not knowing who we are. And the reason I wrote the E word is because I was like, it was so clear to me that until we figure out who we are, we're going to perpetuate this misery with brief flashes of joy and brief physical spasms of pleasure and whatever we can shove in our mouths or whoever we can make love with to distract us from the general unhappiness and dissatisfaction that striving to identify myself through my material world and, you know, and happiness comes from success and money. You know, we're doomed. And I'm so happy to see how, I mean, my God, Susan, it's 50 years ago, this podcast wouldn't even exist. Half of the language we're sitting here using didn't even exist 50 years ago, not in a more popular way. And so we are definitely waking up. I mean, depression is so, illness and depression is so rampant in the world. And instead of being upset about that, I go, well, glory, hallelujah, because unfortunately, you know, misery is what finally flips the switch. You know, it's just like, God, there's got to be something more. There's got to be something different here. And then that starts the search.
Yeah.
So, right. Yeah. So yeah, we can, ignorance is not bliss. No. And finding the truth is bitch. It just slaps you around and makes you miserable too, until you finally start to make sense of the whole thing. And then there are these little beautiful, brilliant moments that we all have, where all of a sudden the curtain raises and it's just like, oh, whether you're walking in the woods or you're holding your grandchild or whatever, or you're meditating, and it's just like everything's crystal clear. It's like, oh, of course.
Yeah, like a strike of lightning or something.
Absolutely. The truth is inescapable. And we've all seen the truth in little bits and pieces. So the thing to do is the easy thing to do is just, the more you can relax and realize the up and down nature of this non-physical, physical reality. Yeah. Everything is in cycles, positive and negative. Everything is a sine wave curve, ups and downs, peaks and valleys. We all know that. And the more we can be gracious and easy and gentle, and the more we can drop in here and be loving with ourselves and our, you know, when I find myself in the pit, which I did just like 10 days ago, I was in the pit, and it was just like, but it was such a different pit because I was like, wow, yeah, okay, I'm in the pit, I'm confused, I'm directionless, I ate too much last night, I drank too much wine, I feel like crap, okay, I'm in the pit. And it was just like, and so what? I didn't judge it. So I was out of the pit in a day.
Yeah.
Instead of perpetuating the pit for weeks or months.
Yes. So it's a lot about being honest with oneself too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As honest as anybody can be who doesn't even know who they are.
It's like, because we are everything, like sometimes we're in the pit and sometimes we're in heaven or what, but it's just like the roller coaster. Yeah, that's life. And
life.
We don't have to beat ourselves up, you know, for being in the pit or being in heaven, or, you know, now, you know, I'm in heaven and they are not, and no, I should, I don't know, or I'm in the pit and I should never be in the pit. I'm
a spiritual person. I should never be in the pit.
I
go out on stage and talk to people. I should never be in the pit. Oh my God.
Yeah. But it's we're humans, right? Humanity is everything. We're humans, and sometimes it feels good to be a human, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's just how it is. And I think it's only the mind that says, no, it's not supposed to be like that. Or no, what is, and it's exactly supposed to be like it because that's what it is. Right?
Absolutely. And, you know, I think, quite frankly, Susan, if we could genuinely accept what is in every moment, you know, I have a headache or I'm in ecstasy or whatever. It's like, then we do move out of our heads and our judgment and judgment land, and we're just present. And, you know, we try so hard. We struggle so hard. We're so fiercely hard on ourselves. I speaketh from experience. Oh God. I've been brutal to myself. Yet, why can't you get it? What's wrong with you? Oh, it just breaks my heart. But I think that's just part of the journey that we all inevitably go through. Coming from this little tiny, I mean, think about it. We're born into these bodies. We are programmed 11 million bits of information a second telling me you're over there and I'm over here and I'm separate and lost and alone and fragile. So I'm this little being in my own mind because of that sensory programming. And yet then I'm told I'm God. And I'm supposed to get from this banged up, fragile little vehicle with, you know, paranoid delusions and issues. And I'm supposed to be God. I'm supposed to be the divine. The journey between that and uncovering who we really are is so incredibly ginormous. Not to make more of it than it is, because we can also see through the BS in a heartbeat and everything is different. And we've all had that experience too. The veils drop for a second and everything comes clear and you go, oh, you didn't do anything. You didn't make that veil drop. It just happened. Can we set the stage for it? Yes. Can we meditate? Can we take care of ourselves and have a good diet? Absolutely. Can we take time to ourselves every day, whether it's 15 minutes sitting under a tree, exclusively to, this is my 15 minutes today to tune in to my heart.
Yeah.
And just listen to my heart. And this is our safe place.
Yeah.
And this is the place that takes that little human, crusty, unhappy, issue-driven nugget of a human being and goes, it's okay, baby. It's okay. And you drop into that place and you just make yourself more available to who you really are.
Yeah.
By doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like then your heart is embracing everything that you are also that way, even the things you don't like about yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And something could change in that, and maybe not, but it's again the mind that then think, oh, then I'll be, you know, we always have some agenda or something with the mind, right? But the heart is not like that, or our true nature is not like that. It just is unconditional. There's no agenda.
There's no agenda.
Yeah.
There's no agenda. I think one of the hardest things in A Course in Miracles for people to get is that there's, you know, forgiveness is a big deal. Forgiveness is a big deal, especially self-forgiveness. And I've watched people really struggle with the whole idea of there's nothing to forgive. And there, honest to God, is nothing to forgive anybody. I don't care, the Hitler, there's nothing to forgive, because ultimately that's not who they really are. That is a little puppet shadow out playing its masochistic, painful, tyrannical, ugly game of illusion. That's the illusion, thinking that I'm that and playing in that arena. So, you know, if I hold on to judgment of anybody, especially myself, that's holding them in their humanity rather than seeing who they really are. You know, I poor Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump. He's one of the most amazing human beings. Not only is he Teflon coated, nothing touches him. He's really amazing. Do I like who he is as a human being? No. Do I like his political policies and stances and what he's done? No. But I use him I've used him for 4 years, 5 years now, as my go-to whipping boy, God bless his cotton socks, and go, oh God, okay, see past that. that's just a little ego-driven, insecure, terrified little nugget human, crusty human that he really isn't, playing out the shadow illusion game on the human stage. And it's ugly. But I have nothing to forgive him, because there's nothing to forgive that crusty little nugget of a human, because that's not really even real. Does it has an impact on the stage? Yes. We have to change our perception, and it starts with forgiveness. And if I can look past all the crap that this one man perpetrated and go, but perpetrated where? Perpetrated on the stage of the illusion. And I know I'm contradicting myself, going, yes, this is real, it's not an illusion. But once we move past the perception of I'm separate from Donald Trump, he's bad and I'm good. Once I get past that and I go, I'm God, I'm one with this entity, this is a divine being, and this is a divine being with a projection, like a movie there's a movie playing out through this. But the real core is this divine being, and there's nothing to forgive. There's this beautiful, sweet, innocent, grace-filled, loving entity underneath the shadow play. And that's what I want to look at. Because if I'm looking at his God, if I'm looking at the truth of who this entity is, then I can look at my own self and my own foibles and my own faults and all the terrible things I've said and the stupid things I've done and that I will never forgive myself for, and just go, oh my God. Okay. They know not what Christ said on the cross. Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. We know not what we do in the human condition. So to come back into our hearts and just go, okay, wow, there's just love here. Wow, there is, oh my God, I'm just feeling love. Oh, I can feel this little sweet connection. Oh, and stop playing in the head about how bad I am and all the things I've done wrong. Whoa, this is where truth resides. And keep coming back to that over and over. So to see through the illusion of the tyranny and the terror of the world of separation and duality that the mind creates, we have safe haven in our hearts. And to come back to that place over and over again. And that's our true identity. And that's our gateway out of the terror and the destruction and the illusion.
Wow.
And then it's a whole new ball game. And don't ask me what the ball game is. It's a new world. And I believe there is a new world literally on this planet. But we have to shift our perception to be able to walk through that doorway.
Yeah. That is beautiful. Wow. Yeah. So it's like the love, the compassion that we have for ourselves, for others, for everything, really. That's who we are. You know, that unconditional love, compassion, like rest there. Remember that's who we are. Constantly remind ourselves that's who I am. That's who I am. It's not that. It's happening and it's fine. And I don't want to judge it, and I don't want to, it's fine. It can be there. I just don't identify it. Yeah. What I identify it is who I really am, my true nature.
Yep.
Yeah.
And is that easy? No. but it's doable.
Yes.
But it's doable, because we have to learn to trust the feeling sense of wholeness that resides here. And we're not taught in our society to trust that. We're taught to trust the mind and logic and what I see in front of me. And, I see the Proud Boys attacking the Capitol and my heart's racing and, and I'm frothing at the mouth and I'm, getting indigestion and all. Okay. That's the shadow play of the ego. That's the drama on that world stage. Is it happening? Yes. If I was there at the Capitol and I fell down, could I be trampled to death? Absolutely. That's not the point. The point is to see past that to the deeper truth. And that's why I say it's not easy. because we get caught up in these bodies. We identify with these bodies and the drama, and we want the world to be better, and we worry about our kids and the world that they're coming into, and what can I do? What can I do? What can I do?
Yeah.
What can I do? You know, it's just like,
yeah. And it's also part of humans, you know, because we are doers. I mean, we're human beings, but humans also, we're not a flower or tree that just stands there. We have legs and, you know, so
that tree's doing some big stuff too.
Yeah, but it's like we are, you know, meant to move around and do things and such, create or whatever. We can think, so we can create.
Absolutely.
And so it is just part of being human, also all that, right? But it's just that we are so lost in our minds. It's almost like we have become servant of our minds, and that's the master. But it's the other way around. The mind is the heart is the master, and the mind is supposed to be the servant of that, right? And we got it all opposite somehow, you know.
We have it cattywampus backwards. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things that I wanted to touch on before we closed was something that came up right before we started this recording, is that oh great, and am I even going to remember what it is? I just had a kerfuffle. Shoot. Oh well, have to talk to me again sometime.
That's a good excuse for another interview sometime, right?
Oh my God. Oh, we try so, oh, I know what it is we, you know, not only do we strive so hard and beat ourselves up, is that we've also in spiritual land, we've developed somehow this idea that we're supposed to be mindless, doingless, somehow being something, but not really. And I want to be nobody and nothing, and humble and nothing. We've got this image of what a spiritual person is. And I talk about this in the E-word. And it really hit me like a ton of bricks as I started my spiritual path to realize that I started off with a regular human ego, and then I became spiritual, and then I developed a secondary ego called my spiritual ego that was more nauseating, more judgmental, more dualistic than my little ordinary ignorant human ego ever thought of being. And so I was like, oh God, great. Now I've got two egos, you know, what my spirituality says I am and I'm supposed to be. So we've got this image about who we're supposed to be as spiritual beings. And it's just like, and I just can't say enough that it's horseshit. It's more image making from the brain. And so again, back to the heart, it's the only bypass, the simplicity and the directness, the direct experience of the heart is the only pathway through the disaster area up here.
Yeah.
And the idea that our ultimate divine expression is to be a mindless, a desireless something is really a slap in the face of the divine, because we are these magnificent, incredibly powerful creators. Have we gone down a detour called our human expression and our human illusion of separation? Yes, we've done this. We're doing this. We're getting out of this dance. And it's not the dance to come back to a place of Blobville, where I'm nothing. We're everything. And we are on a path to create a new heaven and a new earth. And that doesn't come from a mindless blob that thinks humbleness means being nothing and having no desires and no expression. We are here to express the divine. That was our original. And we're expressing the divine even in our separation. Of course, we're expressing the divine in separation. Wow. What would it look like if we express the divine as the divine in these amazing vehicles we've created? That's the next journey. That's outrageous. Do I know what that looks like? No. All I know is that it doesn't look like what we've got now.
Yeah, hopefully.
No, it doesn't. You know, people are afraid of the unknown. Yeah, and I get that. But you know, the other day it just hit me like a ton of bricks. The only thing that's unknown to me is everything that I haven't already experienced. Everything that's known is miserable, separate, terrified, alone, lonely, desperate, striving, struggle, pain, suffering, brief glimmers of hope. That's the known. The unknown, oh my God, hope, fall into your heart and ask for what's unknown. Show me, heart, what is unknown. Bring to me the unknown, because in the unknown is all of our potential and all of the things that bypasses and goes beyond all the current misery of our separation. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is unknown anyways, everything, because there's just here now. If you look at it, just logically, even just this, right? So it's like,
I don't know what I'm going to be thinking an hour from now. I don't know what I'm going to be doing literally an hour from now.
Right. So always be unknown. And it's like that kind of unknown. Wow. It's actually really exciting too. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen in 1 minute from now, really.
Exactly. And if I can, you know, come just again, I keep dropping into the heart space and go, and then there's hope. You can just feel this excitement and this sweetness. And it's just like, oh, and there really is a whole unknown, beautiful, pristine reality waiting to be birthed.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, it's that awe and wonder of the moment, you know, the present, the presence, you are in the present, right? But it's that, it's just that we really don't know. It's just our mind thinks it knows, and it tells us all the time that we know. But we actually, it's more awesome just to always not know. I mean, we don't anyways, but to actually remember that and live from that space of not knowing, and just be fine with that and be happy.
And then in that open space of not knowing that isn't filled with all the head stuff, in that sweet, trusting heart space, then we can hear, then we can sense what the next step is for us.
Yeah.
We can hear not the voice of God, the voice of our own selves, which is God. Then we can hear clearly. And then we can start to follow the path from that place, because we don't, when the moment I go, I give up, and I have this whole last 3 years of my life, ever since the E word came out, I have had to just give up everything, including promoting the book, because that's another long story, but to let go and just go, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's okay. Drop into my heart and just go, okay, because I don't know, I'm just going to sit here and love. And I'm going to listen, and I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
What shows up and what feels right.
Right.
And then apply my mind to create what comes to feels right to match the heart space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like natural, right? If we just let ourselves be what we naturally are, then it'll just naturally happen. Like little kids naturally play, they naturally, it's really
it's really simple.
Quite simple in a way.
That's the problem. I mean, truly.
It's too simple. That's why you get it. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Your website, can you mention your website, and if you have any events or sessions, or how can people get
I'm starting some more classes with A Course of Love, but that's going to be sometime probably in the fall. Just catemontana.com, and that's Cate with a C. And I'm no longer on social media. I'm having a new experience.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the place you can find me, and email me through my website.
Okay. Great. Wonderful. It was a beautiful talk. I really enjoyed our conversation. And
me too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. And thank you for what you're doing, and coming out with books like this, and write some more books. I know you have some other books too, but yeah.
I do. Thanks them on my website.
Yes, excellent.
Susan, bless your heart. Thank you, sweetie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Take care. Aloha.
Aloha, aloha, yeah.